What makes a person of interest? Coach Micheal Burt cuts to the chase, interviewing some of the biggest names in the world. How do they think? What makes them tick? What are their thought processes? And how they became a person of interest.
Hey guys, I'm Coach Micheal Burt, the Super Coach. Every week I try to spend time, with people of interest. And several years ago, you guys know I wrote a book, a small book called Person of Interest. And I wrote that book because I really wanted to build something very attractive that would instead of chasing leads and chasing business, I wanted to build something dynamic. I wanted to build something that other people were attracted to. And I wrote down on a napkin, person of interest, 3 words. How do I become a person of interest? And when I wrote this book, the book came out, it was very popular for me, and I began to then recognize other people of interest everywhere I went. It's a big world, 7.5 billion people on the planet. But when I come across a person that I think is an interesting person, they lived an interesting life, they've gone to interesting places, they've created something interesting, they hang around interesting people, they typically make interesting money, I recognize that. And a few weeks ago, I was in Houston, Texas, and had the privilege of spending time on Angelo Christian's podcast. And just in that one interaction, I said, this guy's a mover and shaker, man. This guy's doing big things in the world. He's helping a segment of the market that I think is interesting, and I think there's an interesting story behind here. So, Angelo Christian, thank you for joining me on Person of Interest, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much. I'm honored and privileged, to be on the show.
So let's go back a little bit because a lot of what you do today started early in life through some of the setbacks and adversity that you faced. And that is a huge driving factor and force for really what you've become, the person of interest you've become. Take us all the way back to the early days of you growing up in Houston, and then we'll come full circle to talk about what you're doing today.
Yeah, I mean, so, I grew up in Houston with a middle lower class family. My parents, they never owned a house. The goal for the day was, what are you going to eat? That was the goal, or that was the objective. There was nothing as far as, what are you going to accomplish with your career, or any big dreams, right? And so the influence of the circle of influence was very low, very dim. My father was in the restaurant business, and my mother was a waitress. And so there wasn't really a point of reference to really look up to. And so being around food all the time, I was extremely overweight. When I was 15 years old, I weighed 300 pounds. So it was that type of environment. Living from house to house, getting evicted because my dad wouldn't pay the rent. And that was what I had to look at. I didn't grow up, with my father as Warren Buffett or Jeff Bezos. So, this is what I have to see every day, right? My mother and father fighting every single day. So it was a really tragic household. And so, when I was 17, actually had a heart attack because, how I was so obese. I was 400 pounds. And it was just getting out of control. I would go to McDonald's and order 5 Big Macs, 3 large, 3 fries, and just eat all that and just gobble it down, and had no control. I had a 56-inch waist. And, my life would look like it was coming to an end. And it got so bad that my father ended up leaving us, and we became homeless, and I had to start working to help pay the bills. We were living in a hotel. The inn suites where you pay $199 a week. And I was there. I have 4 brothers and sisters. And I was working 3 jobs, one at Subway making sandwiches, one at the Kroger grocery store as a butcher. The other one is a line cook at Romano's Macaroni Grills, an Italian restaurant at that time. And just to pay the bills. And so, one night we had a car. It was a old Suburban, and we couldn't afford to make the payment. And so they repoed the car. So now, I'm having to walk to work, and I'm big and fat, and, it's hard for me to move. And have my little Walkman Um, and you know, I start listening to one of the songs that comes on is Rocky, Eye of the Tiger, and that song just, it was like a bolt of lightning, a bolt of inspiration to me, to hear the song. And I started to, like, you know, jog and move a little bit faster. It was about 12 o'clock midnight, and I was walking home from work. And all of a sudden I started to, like, jog, and I could move. And so what happened from there is, you know, subsequently later, the movie, I actually started to get into the Rocky movies, and I saw this man that basically was a bum, a lowlife, and totally defied the odds, and defeated Apollo Creed and became the champion of the world. And that became my inspiration, my new reference, right? I saw somebody that had nothing. And you have to keep in mind that at this point in my life, I have no education. You know, I dropped out of school when I was in the 6th grade. So my understanding of the world is very limited.
Yes.
And so I saw this guy that was essentially a bum and became the champ of the world. And I said, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. So I started to exercise after work, and I lost all the weight, man. And I lost, you know, 200 pounds in a year. And so just by exercising and dieting, changing my diet, and I went and enrolled to get my GED, and then went to community college, and then went to business school afterwards. And it was the catalyst to start everything for me, Coach. And so was that movie. It was what I needed. And I think that everybody, and, you know, today, you know, looking back, that was, you know, 20 years ago, you know, you have to have somebody in your life, a coach, a mentor, somebody as a point of reference that you can look up to, that can show you the way. And for me at that time, it was Rocky. And so, yeah, that was the beginning.
Well, I think a lot of people, you use that word point of reference a couple times, and I think, you know, there's times as I'm speaking out in the country, I talk about having a good coach in your life. At some point in your life, you had somebody, and it's almost as if I anticipate everybody's had that person. But the reality is, and what you're telling us is, not everybody has had that person. I mean, you're saying you really had no point of reference.
I didn't.
That point,
oh my God, yeah.
that point of reference really became the term for the viewer out there watching this or listening to this is emotional identification. You emotionally identified with with Rocky, and that was somebody that you needed. But the fact that because where was your self-esteem at during this period? Was it just rock bottom? Was your confidence rock bottom? I mean, basically, you're waking up in a defeated mindset every day. And did you just wake up one day and as you're listening to that going, man, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of this?
Well, yeah, I mean, so you got to remember, I couldn't get a girlfriend. I had boobs. I was 400 pounds, man. No one would talk to me. I got picked on in school. I was hanging around people that were doing drugs. I mean, they talk about your network is your net worth, right? And I mean, I'm hanging around this, and I'm not even aware or conscious of what's going on, because this is what I think my life is about. And so, but yeah, I mean, seeing what, Rocky did, by his passion, really, and not giving up. And that really that was a bolt of lightning to me. And it showed me, that you can change, you can make a difference, you can defy the odds, and despite your upbringing, I'm going to tell you, it's very hard. You have to be very focused and very strong-willed, because there's a lot of temptation, a lot of bad temptation out there.
Yeah.
And your upbringing, it does play a huge role, in the psychology of us.
So one of the things I see in people of interest is typically they have a very high awareness of both their strength and weakness. It appears to me that today you have cultivated a very high awareness, or a much higher awareness of yourself, of things surrounding you. Did that happen when you began to get deep into personal development? Was there certain personal development people that you studied? That you know, you did the Rocky thing. Walk me through. Okay, you did the Rocky thing. You lost the weight. You go to college. Now talk to me about lead me up to where you are today.
Yeah, so you know, then I got really deep into bodybuilding.
Okay.
And yeah, going back to school and really converting my body. I went from, you know, and I got to say, you might have seen the pictures online, but I mean, I went from, you know, 400 pounds, 56-inch waist to as lean as 6% body fat.
Right.
And really got deep into that. And I went to, you know, business school to get my education in finance and economics. And, you know, my goal was to build a holdings company. And it was what we have an investment firm now that does many things in the banking and investments. And so, but yeah, I mean, as far as the level of awareness, and is your question like when did I start to, who did I follow to, or
who did you as you begin to educate or self-educate yourself, who were the people that you begin to follow that you said, I'm going to emulate that person?
Yeah. I'd say after Rocky, the biggest was Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Robbins, Unlimited Power. I picked that book up when I was 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, obviously Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
Those are the two first books that changed my life. And, you know, I still, I mean, to this day, I mean, every single day I'm listening to, you know, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, or you, or just anybody I have my video guy create a collage of all the great speakers, and you're in there. I just listen to that, and I need that in the morning. I need that, you know, for at least 30 minutes in the morning every single day. But as far as the level of awareness, yes, that is a very, very powerful thing. I would say probably one of the most important traits to have is a high level of awareness. There's a book that I read that says that awareness is godliness. Mm-hmm. And I really do believe that you have to be aware, but not just of what other people do and what you are doing. Mm-hmm. Right. And really do that, that self-examination. And I try to do it at least once a week on the weekend for a few hours, mm-hmm. where I audit myself, mm-hmm. and my behavior. And say, you know, and where I picked that up from, there's a famous trader. You may have heard of Paul Tudor Jones. Mm-hmm. He's a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund manager. Mm-hmm. And because the other part of my business is trading, okay. And a lot of the top traders, they have a psychologist on staff.
Yes.
And I've you know, studied them immensely, and They talk about doing this self-examination. What led them to make those decisions? Why did they make these choices? Why did they execute this trade? And so, getting into the financial sector, and some of the mentors that I've looked up to, like Tony Robbins, Jeff Bezos, they talk about, you know, this self-examination, and so it's extremely powerful because it'll really tell you. You know, where you're at. Are you in alignment with the vision, with the goal? I mean, you know, why did you go and eat this food, this pizza? Then you said you want to be in incredible shape,
right?
Because sometimes your actions are not consistent with, you know, the goal or the vision,
right?
And you have to see, well, why did that happen? Why did I go and drink all this alcohol, or why did I yell at my employee? But then, you know, I'm trying to build a great company. Did I do that the right way?
Right.
You know, and so it really helps me to change and to get better.
That's good. Talk to me a little bit about, because if a person Googles you today, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a Forbes article that I couldn't tell if it was a compliment. One of the first things, I couldn't tell if it was a compliment to you or a backhanded compliment to you. I mean, it was like the way it was written. I was like, man, are they trying to be rude toward him, or are they trying to, you know, because you know, we coach a lot of mortgage people. You know, we coach a lot of, and I did not target those markets, Angelo. I really just went out to Planet Earth with the message. Everybody needs a good coach in their life because of my background. And then for some reason, I attracted a lot of real estate, mortgage, insurance, financial services. And I think that's because they're in a commoditized market and they're looking, the good ones are looking for separation. Sure. And so, but you know, so when I'm looking at our mortgage people, most of them work with or want to work with good credit people, you know, that kind of thing. Talk to the viewer and explain to them what it is you do and why you got into that particular sector.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, just to give you a little bit of background, we have a our core business is mortgage banking, mortgage lending, right? So we are primarily a first mortgage lender to the millennial, the first-time buyer, the fair credit market, people that have around a 640 credit score, 580, 640 credit score, and when I first started in the banking industry in 2005, I worked for Roland Arnall, at that time he was a billionaire that he was a good friend of George Bush, and anyway. His model was this niche market, the subprime, right? And he became a billionaire with his model. I fell in love with it, that he would cater to people that the banks, conventional bank didn't really want to mess with. And I thought it was a wonderful opportunity because I'm really attracted to niche markets.
Yes.
I don't like to get into things where they have a razor thin margin.
Right.
And so the interesting thing about this side of the business is that you have better, for one thing, and when you're doing, government lending, the opportunity from the financial side is very good. And then you're helping a market of clientele that is extremely appreciative of your services. The other part is it's a niche that other banks aren't really, they're not willing to go to. Like if you go to Wells Fargo and say I have a 540 credit or 580 credit, they're going to say thank you, goodbye.
Yeah.
So, and I open up my door because I want that niche opportunity. And so the thing that, we also do prime loans too, but it's kind of like, if I'm dealing with a prime customer, they will, normally they're shopping you to death, and it's not about service does matter, but a lot of them, it's about the price.
Yep.
And when you're dealing with a commodity, like you said, price is how we make the money. And if you keep driving down price, then you're going to erode profits. So, from the ledger, the balance sheet standpoint, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because you have to do high volume to make up. I have to do 3 A credits for 1 C credit,
Yes.
So, so it just seemed doubly beneficial to me to, I'm helping people that need the help that no one wants to touch. And then, we're taken care of monetarily. So it felt like a really good mix. And I saw a point of reference again, Roland Arnall build a multi-billion-dollar business with that model, and the government backs and insures these loans, with no credit score requirement per se. The actual government, FHA, VA, USDA, in their guidelines, they don't have a credit score requirement. The bank puts that requirement.
Gotcha.
You see, so then the other side of our business is we have Real Estate University, where we train and coach and teach students and employees how to become a multi-million-dollar producer in the mortgage and real estate game. So, but that is our model, and we do very well with it. So,
now, if you were looking at people of interest, when you look for people, because you study some of the best people out there in the market, what are you looking for? Because I think part of the person of interest concept is this: I want to build something attractive. I want to build something that attracts the best people in the world. I want to build something that is dynamic. When you're looking for the people you're studying and trying to build something dynamic, what ingredients are you looking for in a person?
Yeah. I always go to for me, I always go to the top. I want to see who's at the top, like for example, Jeff Bezos, obviously he's at the top, right? I mean, richest guy in the world. And then, the what is it that he's doing, and is the job that he's in or the things that he's doing, is it similar, or do I have any curiosity about it? Do I like the business? Like, for example, I admire the heck out of Mark Zuckerberg, but the way he operates, it's hard for me to follow or understand him. But I understand Jeff Bezos very well.
Yep.
Because I love Amazon. Facebook is still, to me, I understand they have a very large market share, but I don't understand the business too much.
Yeah.
But Amazon understand very well, and I think that's going to probably be the first $1 trillion company.
Yeah.
And so Warren Buffett, I wish that was my dad. I love the guy so much, and I understand the business very well, what he does. So who's at the top? Is there, as far as what they're doing, is it something that I'm interested in? And obviously, what have they accumulated or done, right? And so those are the things that I normally am looking for if I want to study somebody, and it could be with health. If it's with bodybuilding, I'll look to the top athletes. If it's for running a business, I'll look for the people that are at the top, because I think that to get there, they have to know something, that's very special. And if they have a book, that's the whole other side. I dive deep into anything that they have published. I've read or watched the videos on Jeff Bezos. Probably, I've read all his books. I watched all his YouTube videos, and then I just watch it over and over and over and over until I immerse myself, so I can almost adopt his thinking.
Well, I think that's a characteristic of a lot of people of interest that we interview. We've had we've had Ed Milet, we've had Brad Lee. We're Tim Grover's going to be coming on pretty soon. And when I go inside the mind of people of interest, they're constantly, I think the journey is they look out, they look in, they move on. They look out to emulate someone else. They look in to see what they want to say, and then they start becoming the person they envision, and then other people want to emulate them. When I think about one of the things you said is, when I left your office that day, when I left doing the podcast with you, what I'm noticing about people of interest, and as my personal interest score goes up and I'm traveling about the world more, is I think about the enormous amount of opportunity that's lost every week in strategic partnerships. Because I left there with you in Houston going, me and that guy need to be doing something together.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, but I was thinking about my team right now. I don't have a director of strategic partnership, but how much is that worth, and how many millions of dollars could that be worth if you had one person that did nothing but help you put these partnerships together? Because that's really what people of interest get so much opportunity in a week, whether it be a couple $1 million deal to a $25 million deal. There's so much opportunity thrown at them that there's just so much lost. How do you capture? What's your strategy on capturing that opportunity?
Well, I spent a lot of time thinking about with my team. We get together and we brainstorm on, if there's people that we want to connect with, and thinking about how we can help to add value. So I think that you have to focus on it, right? Like when I left the podcast with you, I was like, man, I should have took him to dinner. Well, I'm stupid, Angelo. You should have spent more time with him.
Sure.
And so, if I'm getting that sensation, there's probably more truth to that. I need to go spend more time thinking about that. So when I do these meditations, Coach, I really think about, who I want to align myself with and how can I help them to enhance their business. And then we'll have these brainstorming sessions purposely with the team, and then go after those people. Like, we pursued you for several months. We pursued other people for several. Like, we just did a podcast with Cole Hatter, who's a real estate investor in California. Now he wants us to do all of his apartment financing with our bank.
Nice.
And he knew about he learned about the programs that we offer. He said, man, where have you been?
Yeah.
And it's like, I was always here, but we didn't pursue it earlier.
Right.
And you have to think about it, and then you have to go for it. And then, you have to be able to add that value. How can I help Cole Hatter with his real estate? How can I help you with your business?
Right.
You have something that can enhance, you know, either what they're trying to do is build a large apartment holdings, and we have loan products that are going to help them to acquire, you know, the assets that they want. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that you have to, it would be great to have somebody on payroll that just focused on it, because that's what it comes down to. You have someone that focuses on it, and then they execute, focus and execution. And so I agree with you.
Well, when you think about that concept, I just think one of the things I try to teach people is when you drive up your person of interest score, your visibility is going to be higher. You are going to get criticism, just like you get criticism every day, just like I get criticism. Listen, I'm a positive dude, but I still get criticism from people. And I out there pump out a lot of positive, have a faith-based component to a lot of what I do, still get criticism. So I think as you elevate your status, what you got to understand is now opportunities chasing you. So talk to me about the biggest opportunities that you feel like you're sitting on right now, because is Real Estate University the big opportunity for you? Because I really like your model of how you coach people to generate revenue, but you also share in the lead, because lead generation is an important part of that. I mean, that's really a genius model, because you're solving really more than one problem for a person.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be huge. You know, so yeah, just to talk on that for a second with Real Estate University. So a student, let's say that, let me give you an example. I don't know if you guys have been on my YouTube channel or seen any of our stuff, but so this is the pitch that, you know, make 6 figures in 6 months, yes, and we provide the leads. So we take somebody that doesn't know the business, or they could know the business, because the failure rate of real estate's like 99%.
Yes.
Right? And the average income of somebody that's in the industry makes $53,000 a year. The people that have gone through Real Estate University, their average income is $157,000 a year.
Nice.
And that's because we're not just teaching them how to get their license, we're teaching them how to monetize. Right? You need to show people how to make money. And then the 2 biggest problems with the real estate industry from an employer standpoint is the education piece, someone teaching you, you know, how to make a deal, how to close a deal, and then where are you going to get the customer from? How are you going to acquire the customer? Mm-hmm. So, you know, through our social media, and that's one of the, you know, like some of the articles that you've read, we drive thousands of leads, traffic to our agents, to our team, mm-hmm, right? And social media is free. So, you know, we're generating tens of thousands of leads on Facebook and YouTube, and then we give those agents, it doesn't matter what state you're in, we give you those leads and you work them, you know, through the CRM. So if you know how to persuade, you have to learn how to sell and close. That is so critical, understanding the psychology of a human being.
Yes. And
knowing how to close them, and knowing certain things that people do in the buy sell, and then you're getting the lead and you have the product, well, then you have a surefire success that you're going to do very well. And so that's what we've been able to do with this online platform is teach somebody, okay, how to close a deal, right? And then actually getting the lead delivered to them. They get a text message, you know, every single day. Hey, call John Smith in Orlando. He's ready to get pre-approved, wants $300,000.
Right.
Well, hey, that's half the battle right there.
Yes.
You know, so
and because of your lending background, you've already pre-approved that person.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of intentional congruence there, right, where they're getting ready-made people who are already pre-approved. I think it's a genius system.
It does work very well. You know, I think that and then just scaling our lending. I mean, I think that with what we do, we're missing billions of dollars of lending capacity, and that's really what the big core focus is on, is just scaling the model, you know, to, you know, 10x really with the lending. Because I mean, you think about, if we're doing $1 billion in lending and we can take it to $20 billion in lending, right, you know, just by adding management and the sales force. And so basically getting the funds together to lay that whole thing out. Nice.
Nice. So next step, person of interest. People want to follow you and get deeper into your psyche, get deeper into your systems. Where do you want them to go? Obviously got a big presence on YouTube.
YouTube is probably my favorite. I love our YouTube, because we do our shows there where we, that's really how people find us, like where all these leads come from is on our shows. We teach people from the consumer standpoint, you know, about the loan products, the loan programs. Every Friday we have Talk with Angelo where everyone can call in and talk with me and ask questions. But I would say YouTube because I love video. I think video is going to take over in the next, you know, decade or so. And I think it's just the best way to do things. And so I would recommend that, and then maybe Facebook. But yeah, I mean, our YouTube, we have 3 shows: Real Estate Insider, Influencers, and Learning Hub. And I'd say check us out there. We're always, you know, coming out with new great content on teaching people about real estate and finance. So absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Angelo Christian, you are a person of interest, my friend. And here's the deal. You and I are going to be doing some things together. Yeah. So
absolutely, man. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon, man.
Yeah. And just know I come to Houston every month. So listen, and you have exposed me to something I wish I would have never seen, which is the Post Oak Hotel. And after you exposed me to this place, I was so happy staying at City Center, staying at Hotel Sorella, and I went back to Dr. Hotze, who's another person of interest, and I said, Doc, I said, man, Angelo has exposed me to something. So I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to need to stay at the Post Oak in the future. But yeah, I want to do dinner with you, and I want to hang out with you, and I want to get deeper into your deal because there's a lot of synergy. You and I are in alignment, and in alignment on helping people. We're in alignment on what we believe. And I think this interview really showed the depth that you have. I took a couple pages of notes, and one of the biggest takeaways is that self-examination, that personal auditing, that those trigger moments, man. That, you know, why, like you said, you want to build a great culture, but you're yelling at everybody. You want to do this, but your actions are not always in alignment. So I think the big takeaway for me for this show is the amount of personal reflection you're doing, and the amount of that self-auditing, and just your story of going really from who you were to who you are today. And I think that's a tremendous testimony. So thank you for being a person of interest, man. And I look forward to pumping this out.
Yeah. There's one thing I do want to say that one of my quotes that I say on that reflection is that pain plus reflection equals progress.
That's good, man. That's good. That's good.
Angelo, you're a good dude, man. Hey, thank you very much, and God bless you, okay?
Take care, bud. Take care. Bye, guys.
What makes a person of interest? Coach Micheal Burt cuts to the chase, interviewing some of the biggest names in the world. How do they think? What makes them tick? What are their thought processes? And how they became a person of interest.